everyone, I'm Anoth, and today I want to talk about temper tantrums with Fragile X syndrome or temper tantrums with autism because Jordan has both. He is now 27 and around the age of, he was always a cranky baby. He had a hard time communicating his wants and needs, and they were basically done either by throwing a temper tantrum, crying, screaming. Um, and since he wasn't walking, he started walking when he was about 18 months old. So either I always was holding him, or he was crawling, or he was sitting in his little jumper seat. And we always did certain exercises to kind of get him to move his legs and practice walking, and we would always do all kinds of things. And on this particular occasion, he did not want to do anything. He did not want to do sensor integration. He did not want to do any vocalization, nothing. This was a cranky day for him. And he decided to throw a major temper tantrum. We were at the house. Luckily, we had a long hall, so we would practice there because he could crawl and do whatever it is that he needed to do. This particular occasion, again, he didn't want to do any of it. And he decided to throw a temper tantrum. And as usual, I was ignoring it. And he did not like me ignoring this behavior. And he decided that he would increase this behavior and made it worse by hitting the wall with his forehead. This just pissed me off. And I got a hold of this young man. I held him in front of me, and I didn't raise him up. I sat him in front of me, and I said, "You will not do this." And I was so angry, and I was so frustrated, and I was so scared because he's never done this before. And I just yelled to the top of my lungs, and I guess he never heard me scream in such a way that it also somehow snapped him out of this behavior. And he was still doing his little whimpering thing, but he stopped screaming and yelling, and he was looking at me in such a way that I shocked him just as much as he shocked me by hitting himself on the wall. One of the things that I hope to accomplish by doing these videos is not by me telling you what to do, because every family is different. Every child is different. And in my previous videos, I've said this. And what works with one child may not work with the other child. And what I'm trying to get across are suggestions, maybe some tips, maybe some hints, maybe something that I say will click in your mind, and maybe you'll want to do something different, and maybe this different way of doing things will work for you and will work for your child. So I'm not by any means telling you what to do. I'm just telling or letting you guys know what it is that I've done in Jordan's 27 years that has worked for me, or has not worked for me, or has not worked in our family, or I did something wrong, and so I got a wrong behavior back. And so this is my goal by me making these videos. So what I just described was something that I did at this particular moment in time when this young man did this. I know that there are some little guys that will bite their brother or their parents to get their attention, or they'll hit themselves, or like what Jordan tried, they'll hit themselves against the wall, or they'll do some form of a violent behavior. So for my child, for my son, what I have started doing was that because I had another son, and he when Jordan, their space and age is close to 2 years. So my goal was to try to raise these young men in such a way where his brother would not do without because of his younger brother's disabilities. That was my goal. Sometimes it didn't work out that way. Sometimes his older brother did get sometimes put to the side because we had to deal with certain things that Jordan would do. And in this particular occasion, was or we were fortunate that Joshua, his older brother, was in Mother's Day out. So he was not there. And I was glad because it would have frightened his brother. And so one of the things that I have done was that I was increasing his crying and his temper tantrums by me ignoring them. And as soon as I knew that he was fed, that he was not sick, that his diaper was clean, that he had not hurt himself in any way, and if he was throwing a temper tantrum or if he was having a crying fit, I started timing the times that I would ignore this behavior. And I started out by 3 minutes. At least that was my way of working it with this young man. And so I started ignoring these behaviors by 3 minutes. And then as time went on, 5 minutes, and then 8 minutes, and then 10 minutes. One time, this stubborn little man, he cried for 15 minutes. And again, I would look at him, and I knew that he had not hurt himself, and I knew that he was fed and diaper was changed, and I did not say a single word, but I would check on him, and I would look at him, and I would not say a single word, because again, I wanted to get him out in public, and I did not want him, and this is going to sound brutal, but I did not want him to hold the entire family hostage by him throwing a temper tantrum. And so my way of dealing with this was this way. And again, this is my way. It might sound harsh. It might sound like I'm being mean or not a good mother. But I had his other brother to consider. And I didn't want his other brother to be ignored or to have to put up with this behavior from his younger brother. And yes, he had a mental disability, although at this time we didn't know what he had. We were just told that he was developmentally delayed, that eventually he would catch up. So we didn't know that he had Fragile X syndrome. And we also did not know that he had autism because of Fragile X syndrome. And so we, at this particular time, we still did not know his official diagnosis. And so at this particular time, he decided to just cry and cry and cry. And with the help of a behavioral specialist from early childhood, I got some tips that I implemented along with what I decided to do as far as timing out his crying fits or his temper tantrums. And so, again, I started out by 3 minutes and then I started upping the time. And this particular time, he was crying for 15 minutes and he was tired. I was tired. My ears were tired. I was pretty much at my wits' end by this time. So again, I didn't say a single word. I did not um, punish him in any way. But so what I decided to do was that I picked him up and I just carried him like I always do. And I decided to give him a warm bath. And he sat there, and as soon as he got in the water and he sat there, it seemed to have to calm him down. I didn't put any lavender, or I didn't have that knowledge then. Now they'll say that you can put lavender or certain essential oils that will calm the senses. But I did put bubbles, like the Johnson baby soap. So it bubbled up a lot and it was nice and warm. And I just sat him in there. I sat there with him. I looked at him. And he just sat there, and it took him a little bit, but he finally calmed down. And we kept doing this and kept doing this until he started, or we started working with some sign language. Now, I'm not saying that sign language or PECS or speech therapy or the Dynabox cut down his temper tantrums completely. It didn't. He still had a lot of frustrations because there were still a lot of things that he did not understand, and he didn't have the vocabulary to get his wants and needs out. And sign language, we were still trying to get it learn, and we were still not um, fully knowledgeable in sign language. But we did do some sign language, and we did the Dynavox, and we just did single words, and then maybe two words. But he still tested us, and he still threw his temper tantrums, and he still screamed and cried, but they were not as often as all day long, because there were certain times where they were all day long, and they were every single day. And when you get this behavior, you try to be the best parent that you can, in spite of the fact that your nerves are getting wrecked, that your family is having to listen to this screaming and crying and yelling. And it's a hard thing to deal with, but we all do what we have to do. We all do the best that we can. And again, this is just something that I did, that it worked on certain times. It didn't work all the time. There were times where, whether I put him in a bath, whether I took him outside to get the sunlight, whether I held him and we danced to music, there were times where he was just going to cry. And those were the hardest times, and I'm sure you guys know how that is, especially when it's every day and then sometimes all day long. I can tell you that he is 27, and his temper tantrums are long gone. He does have sometimes where he'll yell at me because he doesn't understand something. And I still stand in front of him and I have him look at my face so he can see me looking at him. And I'll tell him, I know you're frustrated. I know that you're confused. I know that maybe you're mad, but it's not my fault. Let me help you or tell me what's bothering you. And I say it directly to him. I try to keep my voice calm and not show any anger, because even though he's 27, he's still mentally disabled. And so I always try to keep that in mind, and I try to show him the respect by remembering this. And so I do get in his face. And I don't get like right there, but I do get in front of him, and he is a little bit taller than me. But I do want him to know that I hear him, that I understand the frustration. I may not completely understand what he's going through, but I do understand the frustration that he's going through. So I hope that this helped a little bit. As time goes on, I will put other videos. If what I said doesn't make sense to you, please ask me questions. And so I know that sometimes maybe the way I say things, it may not make sense, or it sounds confusing. But so please ask questions. You're not going to hurt my feelings, and no question is ever a stupid or a dumb question. So please let me know what you think. If I can help in any other way, please let me know. If you have any other questions, please ask them. And remember to subscribe to my channel, and hopefully when I put out a new video, it lets you know that I put out a new video. And if you have any comments, please let me know. So thank you for your time. I hope I helped a little bit. And just let me know what you think. Thank you again. Have a good afternoon.